Good evening. Welcome to the Thursday evening update on what is now Tropical Storm Isaias. As always, these thoughts are mine alone, and in making decisions regarding Isaias, please refer to the National Hurricane Center, your local National Weather Service office, and your local officials for evacuation orders as the storm does come up towards the Florida East Coast and later on the the Carolina coastline and potentially Georgia may be impacting that area too. Well, here we have Isaias. The storm has been organizing all day and has become much better organized since yesterday around this time. It has trailed the Dominican Republic coastline and is now exiting the Dominican Republic and has become significantly better defined here. You can now see clearly there is a surface and mid-level center here that are stacked and are currently moving away, and you can very clearly see this on satellite imagery now. So this is a much better defined storm than it was yesterday. And some personal weather stations have indicated that the storm may be deepening. These personal weather stations have indicated that the storm may be around 995 millibars. These personal weather stations are somewhat reliable here, so we may find a deeper storm once recon gets into this storm as this continues off to the west-northwest. And you can expect impacts in the Turks and Caicos Islands. These are low-lying areas. Maybe could have storm surge here as this large area of winds out of the east are moving in tandem with the storm, and so it does have a large wind field of tropical storm force winds that extend to the north of the system, and this may bring a storm surge in here, so do be watching this as this does come close to the Inagua Islands and later on into the central Bahamas and later into the northern Bahamas here. If you look at the water vapor imagery, you can tell there's a trough there's kind of a trough in here that has been trying to shear the storm. Due to the outflow that has expanded out of the system, it is beginning to press against that trough and maybe help Isaias a little bit into being better shielded from southwesterly shear in the near term. As this does advance into the northern Bahamas in here, this may actually still be getting sheared regardless. As you can see on the GFS model, you can see the mid-level RH, or relative humidity. You can tell the storm is very tilted off to, or sheared off to the northeast, and this is because if you look at the shear map, here is the storm in the bottom of the screen. You can see that the anticyclone here is on the outer edges of the anticyclone, and so this storm begins to feel what is a southwesterly shear vector, and as this does come north, you can see that it is mainly impacted by the southwesterly shear vector, which in turn actually tilts the storm a little bit, and due to it being stronger, this may not be as effective. This may not affect the storm as much as previously expected by the models, and so the storm may be able to become better defined and be more symmetrical in here. And so this may not actually be the shape of the system's convective pattern, but that may be the case. And as this advances closer to Florida, you can tell that temporarily the relative humidity values surrounding the storm are less, and so that allows the storm to maybe intensify some as it reaches the Florida coast, and this could be a hurricane upon approach here. Again, this is, if I were on the Florida coast, this is uncomfortably close to me, and if you look at the National Hurricane Center track, this is not an anomalous model run, and so if you are on the Florida coast, do be watching for hurricane watches and maybe warnings as this comes up towards your area. As this continues, and you can see a trough that digs in here over the central United States, this will be moving off to the east and will eventually be interacting with Isaias as this comes up to the north. This is going to eventually align with the surface flow that is guiding Isaias to the north, and this could maybe help ventilate the storm as it does come up here. And as this is heading towards the Carolinas, we may see some intensification as this does ride the Gulf Stream waters all the way up into the Carolinas here. And so this may be able to intensify upon approach to the Carolinas. Need to be watching this closely as this does advance towards your state. This is still a 4-day forecast, and a little bit of a difference in the forecast track could mean a big difference for the impacts here, as this is not a gigantic storm and the impacts are not widespread. This is highly dependent on where exactly the core is located. So if the core does come up into New England, this could mean impacts for the entirety of the mid-Atlantic and New England coastlines. But if it does, if it's a little bit further offshore, it may impact no one. And so it's largely dependent on where exactly the storm is. So just have a plan ready as this does come up the East Coast. So that's all for now. Thanks for watching.